It wasn't the howl of the wind that woke me up. It wasn't the weight of the snow piling up against the cabin or the cold creeping in from the cracks in the door. No, it was the eerie stillness that had replaced the usual rattle of the storm outside. For the first time in weeks, something felt off. I'd been out in the wilderness long enough to know when something was wrong. You could sense it in the air the way it felt too quiet, like the earth was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The cabin was dark, fire barely a whisper of warmth in the hearth. I rose slowly, the wood floor creaking beneath my boots, and grabbed my rifle instinctively. Outside, the wind picked up again, but there was something else now. The sound of hooves. Slow, deliberate. I didn't know who would be out here in a storm like this. I hadn't seen another soul in months, not since I'd left my old life behind. But the tracks in the snow didn't lie. I went to the door, cracked it open just enough to peer outside. Nothing, just the dark expanse of the snow-covered plain. But the feeling in my gut wouldn't let go. Someone was out there. Someone was watching. I stepped back inside, my pulse quickening. That's when I saw her. She was sitting by the fire, her back to me, as calm as if she belonged there. The wind howled around the cabin, but she didn't even seem to notice. She was wrapped in a tattered blanket, her dark hair spilling over her shoulders like spilled ink, her eyes fixed on the faint glow of the embers. She hadn't heard me come in. I didn't know whether to raise the rifle or step forward, but something in her presence stopped me. She wasn't startled. She wasn't scared. "Who the hell are you?" I demanded, my voice rough and cold. She turned slowly, the firelight casting shadows across her face. There was something about her, something dangerous, yet calm, like a storm waiting to break. Her eyes met mine, steady and unflinching. "Amelia," she said simply, as if it explained everything. Amelia Delgado. My instincts screamed at me to question her, to demand answers. I didn't know her, didn't know why she was here. But something about the way she held herself made me lower my weapon, even as every nerve in my body told me to keep it raised. "What are you doing here?" I asked, though I couldn't help but feel the pull of her presence, the way it seemed to draw me in despite myself. "I've been waiting for you," she said, her voice low. But there was an undercurrent there, an edge I couldn't quite place. I didn't mean to intrude. My brows furrowed. Waiting for me? I wasn't sure whether to laugh or draw the rifle again. Who the hell would be waiting for me, alone in the wilderness, in a storm like this? "You're the one who came in," she said softly, her eyes never leaving mine. "I'm just the one who's been here longer." My grip on the rifle tightened, and I took a cautious step forward. She didn't flinch, didn't move. The fire crackled softly between us, the only sound in the room besides the wind beating at the walls. "Why are you here?" I demanded, the words sharper now. She hesitated, like she was measuring the distance between us, calculating. "I'm not here to hurt you," she said, her voice smooth, but with a weight I couldn't ignore. "I've been running. From the past. From people who want to see me dead. That stopped me." "Running from what?" She stood then, slowly, deliberately. She wasn't tall, but there was a presence in the way she moved, a strength beneath the softness. She didn't need to raise her voice to command attention. "From a past that's still chasing me," she said, her gaze sharp now. "And from a life I can't escape." I couldn't read her. I didn't trust her, but something about her honesty kept me from turning her away. I stayed silent, my eyes never leaving hers. I knew the feeling. Running from the past? From mistakes. From the things you'd done that you couldn't undo. I'd been running for years, but I never expected it to come to my door like this. Never expected someone like her. "My name's Lucas Howard," I said, the words feeling almost foreign in the stillness. "I didn't invite you in. I don't know what you want, but if you're after trouble, you've come to the wrong place." She tilted her head slightly, studying me. But there was no fear in her eyes only. Something that looked like recognition. Like she saw the truth in me that I didn't want to face. "I'm not here to cause trouble," she said softly, but there was a sharpness beneath the words. "But trouble's been following me for a long time, and I think it's finally caught up to us." I didn't want to believe it. Didn't want to acknowledge the chill creeping down my spine at the thought of it, but the storm outside seemed to answer for her. The hooves, the stillness, the way she spoke with such quiet certainty. I couldn't turn her away. I'm not the hero in this story, I said, stepping back toward the fire. I'm just trying to survive. If you think you're going to find a safe place here, you're wrong. She smiled then, but it wasn't the kind of smile that made you feel at ease. It was a smile that said she understood the darkness in me, the kind that felt too familiar. Maybe we're both wrong, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, but the words lingered in the cold air between us. But I'm here now, and I need you to understand. This storm, it's just the beginning. Before I could ask what she meant, there was a sound outside. Hooves again? But this time, it wasn't just one set. There were more, and they were coming fast. Damn it, I muttered under my breath. They're here. Her eyes met mine, and in them, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A recognition, a fear, but also something stronger. A fire that had been buried too long. I told you, she said softly. I've been running, but I can't run anymore. Not from them. I knew then. I knew what kind of trouble I'd just invited into my cabin, but it was too late to turn back now. The night had descended faster than I had anticipated, and the storm outside had grown fierce, howling and crashing against the windows. Inside, the fire in the hearth flickered weakly, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch like dark hands reaching across the cabin. The warmth of the fire was a stark contrast to the chill in my bones, chill that had nothing to do with the weather. Amelia moved about the cabin with a quiet grace, her figure blurred by the soft light. Her every motion seemed to possess an easy confidence, something I hadn't expected to see in a woman who had been running for so long. She didn't belong in this world, at least not in the way I'd come to understand it, but in some strange way, she belonged in mine. As she tended to my wound, her hands were careful, tender. The way her fingers traced the line of my shoulder where the bullet had grazed me. Her touch, light yet purposeful, sent a shiver down my spine that had nothing to do with the injury. Her warmth seemed to seep into me, filling the empty spaces I hadn't realized existed. I wanted to pull away, to shield myself from whatever it was that was stirring between us. But I couldn't. Not when her eyes held mine with such quiet understanding. Not when every touch, every glance, seemed to unravel the walls I had built around my heart. You don't have to do this, I muttered, my voice rough from the days of silence and the weight of my own thoughts. Her hands paused, but she didn't look away. I know, she whispered, almost as if speaking to herself, but I want to. I clenched my fists, trying to ignore the pull I felt toward her. The way my heart seemed to quicken with every breath she took, every soft movement she made. I wasn't ready for this, wasn't ready to feel something again, not after everything I'd lost. After everything I'd done. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, I said, the words coming out harsher than I intended. I'm not someone you need, Amelia. Act. But she wasn't listening. Her fingers were gentle against my skin as she finished bandaging the wound, her eyes focused and calm. She didn't look at me like I was broken. She didn't pity me, and that made something inside of me stir something deep. Something I hadn't dared let surface in a long time. Her gaze met mine, and for a moment, I saw the same vulnerability I was trying to hide mirrored in her eyes. I don't need you to be anything but what you are, Lucas, she said softly, and I'm not asking you to save me. I'm asking you to let me help you. Her words lingered between us, hanging in the air like the scent of smoke and pine. And for a moment, I didn't know how to respond. How could I tell her that I had nothing left to offer, that I wasn't the man I used to be, that I had nothing in me that could be worth saving? But then something shifted in the air between us, something heavier than the weight of our words. I saw it in her eyes, a quiet acceptance, an unspoken understanding that went deeper than just words. She wasn't asking for anything from me. Not really, and then she kissed me. At first it was gentle, tentative, as if she, too, was unsure of what we were doing, unsure of the path we were walking together. But the moment her lips touched mine, everything in me snapped. All the barriers, all the walls I'd spent years building came crashing down. I couldn't pull away, not now. Not from her. Her hands gripped the front of my shirt, pulling me closer, and in that moment I knew. I knew that what was growing between us couldn't be stopped. That whatever the world had thrown at us, whatever lay ahead, we would face it together. But just as quickly as the kiss deepened, the world outside seemed to crash in on us. The sound of horses outside, the unmistakable sound of men, approaching men who were hunting us. I pulled away from her, my chest rising and falling with the heat of the moment, the adrenaline coursing through me. "They're here," I said, my voice rough, strained. Amelia's eyes widened, the realization hitting her like a bolt of lightning. She knew who was coming. She knew the danger we were in, and she didn't flinch. Her hand reached for the rifle that lay nearby, her movements swift and purposeful. "We don't have much time," she said, her voice steady now, though I could see the flicker of fear in her eyes. Fear for what we've become, for what might happen next. But there was something else there, too. Something that burned bright beneath the fear. I grabbed my rifle, checking it quickly, my mind racing. We were outnumbered, outgunned, but we had no choice. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about something more, something neither of us had allowed ourselves to think about until now. We were in this together. The storm outside grew more violent as the men approached. I could hear them now, shouts, hooves pounding the ground, the unmistakable sound of their determination. Jake Sterling and his men were here, and this time there would be no walking away. Amelia and I exchanged a glance, wordless but understanding. This was our last stand. There was no turning back. The confrontation, the door burst open, and the storm poured in. I barely had time to raise my rifle before the first shot rang out, deafening in the small cabin. I moved on instinct, the soldier inside me, taking over. Pushing aside the fear, pushing aside everything but the need to protect what was mine. Amelia was right beside me, her rifle steady in her hands. She fired with precision, taking down one of Sterling's men before I could even register the movement. I'd never seen anyone move like she did, calm, calculated, lethal. "Keep moving," I shouted, barely hearing my own voice over the gunfire. "We need to get them out of here." The fight was brutal. It was chaos. Bullets whizzed past us, the cabin trembling with each blast. I had no idea how much time had passed. It felt like seconds and hours all at once. But we fought, side by side, in sync. Like we'd been doing this forever. Sterling's men weren't just hunters, they were professionals. But we weren't just survivors anymore. We were a force. Together, I could see it in Amelia's eyes. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for me, fighting for us. And I was doing the same as the battle wore on. My rifle jammed. For a split second, I thought it was over. But then, without a second thought, Amelia grabbed my weapon, her hands moving with the same deadly precision she'd shown all along. She fired the final shot, taking down Jake Sterling in one clean motion. The cabin fell silent, the storm outside seeming to pause, as if the world itself was waiting for what came next. Escape and revelation. We stood there, breathless, covered in blood and sweat, as the storm outside picked up again. The men were dead, their bodies sprawled in the snow, and we were left standing, battered but victorious. But the victory was hollow. We were still trapped in a world that wanted us dead. We couldn't stay here. Not anymore. Amelia turned to me, her face pale, but her resolve unshaken. "They'll keep coming," she said quietly. "Sterling wasn't the only one after me." I nodded. I knew we had to go. We had no choice but to run again. "I'll protect you," I promised, my voice low, but filled with a certainty I hadn't known I had until now. "I won't let them take you." And in that moment, for the first time in a long time, I believed it. We had each other now. And together, we would face whatever came next.